I get to talk to Lyric and Clement and Dagda all the time. So I feel like I have a very intimate idea already of who I think is going to win each series, and I think there's even though the bracket is kind of stacked, I do feel like there are very significant favorites in most matchups here. Hey Greer, how you doing, mate? Hey Roofy. Tismodic, Raffers. Hello everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Alright, let's kick this off. So, we'll start with the top of the bracket first. IG versus Rare Atom. So here, I actually think this is a very interesting series, because IG kind of suck right now, let's be honest. Rare Atom also kind of suck, but I don't think anyone was anticipating anything absolutely insane out of Rare Atom, right? I was expecting a little bit more than what we got. Let's bring up Leaguepedia as well so I can like show you guys while we talk. So we've got, obviously, Rare Atom. Your big weak points, in my opinion, are like Cube. He needs to survive here. The Shy might just absolutely demolish Cube. That's a real scary part of the map for Rare Atom. I actually think Fofo... this is crazy to say. I actually think Fofo might be the favorite over Rookie, based on recent performance. Unless Rookie goes into Rookie mode and starts to look like Rookie again, I actually think Fofo is the mid-favorite there. Lien versus Shun, I think totally depends on the solo lanes, but if Lien... I don't know. I feel like if Shun has Prio in his lanes, Lien could have a really hard time. Because Rookie and the Shy will be able to just dominate their lanes and allow Shun to control the jungle. So it does depend on those lanes. I think Cube is the biggest question mark. iBoy and Hung, though, they're up against... You'd assume it's going to be Puff and Lucas, right? That's been the duo that IG have been most regularly running. And, like, sure, you could bring in Wink instead if you want. I don't think Baolan is going to fix anything. Like, I think the bot lane for IG is going to be really, really sus. So, iBoy and Hung, I think there's a very real chance that they're getting 2v2 kills in this series. And I think there's a lot of onus on IG to win games fast. But we have seen them when they've tried to draft that style. Like, I'm trying to think what series it was recently. They drafted like a pure win by 15-minute comp, and it kind of just fell apart completely. Who was that against? Let me check. I was casting that series. I think I cast it with Lyric. And it was a bit of a disaster for them. Oh yeah, here it is, look. It was against V5. They draft like this insane, everything needs to win right now or they're gonna lose kind of composition with a Kalista and a Renekton and a Nudia. Like, even though this draft is kind of sus, I think that this is the kind of style that IG will be looking to play. But the problem is, I really don't rate this Kalista pick. Even though IG seem to really love it, they don't really play around bot. I feel like playing around bot might be the answer for IG, but that sounds so insane, right? They're not going to play around bot. So I'm actually straight off the bat here. Where is it? Photoshop. Straight off the bat, I'm going with a spicy prediction on this one. I actually think this is going to be a very close series. If it'll give me text. Here we go. So, I think it's going to be 3-2. This needs to be black text. And I think it's going to go that way. I think IG gets knocked out first round of playoffs. I think Rare Atom go through. I think the bot diff is going to be too big. And even though the Shy's been playing decently, they've actually been putting the Shy on kind of defensive picks, right? When you look at the drafts for IG a lot of the time. Obviously, the most recent series against LGD played Rumble and Lucian, but it's fucking LGD, right? But then when you look before that, like Cho'Gath, Renekton, you got a lot of Scion, a lot of Aatrox, Wukong. Like, these are not picks that the Shy can individually carry the game on. So, well, obviously Aatrox is kind of a different conversation when it comes to the Shy, but I'm worried that they're going to lock in Scion for the Shy and not be able to bully Cube. And I think RA, actually, if they can get past the early game, look way, way better in the later stages of the game. So I'm straight out of the gate. I'm going with a spicy one for the first round, which means rare atom. Move forwards. Okay. So bottom side of the bracket then. The next series, LNG versus Suning. Now I think you all know that I have some minor biases towards Suning. I think that's fairly obvious. What shirt am I wearing? It's the MSI G2 jersey. I think this is one of the nicest esports jerseys ever. This is one of my favorite jerseys. I bought it when G2 went to MSI in 2019. Was it 2019? When was it? Yeah, it was 2019. God, the years are all like meshing together because of COVID. I think this jersey's so sick. And also, it was like the first international win for Europe in a long fucking time, right? A long fucking time. So I think, as a European fan, this is an important jersey to keep. You know, this was a big win. Okay, LNG versus Suning. So, I'm not gonna lie. This one isn't as. I'm just going to move this here and edit the text. So I'm not predicting 3-2 here. I'm just moving the text. So for this one, I think this is a lot more one-sided. Again, there's a big top diff. This time it's in favor of Suning. Like, I think Bin is going to absolutely manhandle Makuya. I don't think it's even going to be fucking close. SOFM versus Tarzan is going to be interesting. But the thing about that matchup is SOFM has much better laners to play through on the top side of the map. So it's... I don't feel like Tarzan has a lot to work with is the problem. And especially when they get later on into the game, LNG just look like lost children wandering around a supermarket. They don't know what to do on the map. They don't know where to be. When you look at the VOD from LNG versus Suning, it's pretty shocking. LNG consistently, even Tarzan. Like, Tarzan's the guy that people often just say nice things about for LNG, but even Tarzan was just getting caught out for no reason in the mid game, leading to Suning getting dragons. There's a really, really sick engage. In fact, I'll get the VOD up. I'll show you guys. There's a really, really sick engage from Iwandi. LNG versus Suning. Don't mind my recommendations. I watch a lot of shite. So I'm not muting because I hate them. I'm just muting because I'm not properly listening to the VOD, you know. So both games, important to mention here, both games in this series, Light and Iwandi 2v2 Huanfeng and On. Both games of this series. There is a big bot diff when it comes to laning between these two teams in favor of LNG. That is the one significant advantage that I think LNG have in this series. If you watch back LNG VODs, their bot lane is actually really good in lane. But there's this fight. Oh, wait, I think it's game 1, actually. Yeah. Okay, so watch this fight. Watch how heartbreaking this is. So, Iwandi is absolute MVP for this team still. Has been all split, honestly. Watch this engage that he gets. Watch how insane this engage is, right? Flashes in, gravity storm onto everyone, gets the knockups, gets the stuns, right? Beautiful. That is pretty much, like, as far as Rel goes, that's pretty much as good of an engage as you can really hope for. Like, you know, it wasn't exactly perfect, but pretty great. Hey, thank you for the sub, mate.
Let's go.
But the problem is, look, Makuya goes in with him, but while we were looking at Iwandi, On is another support. This is a guy that's been criticized a lot this split. But watch what he does in this fight. As SOFM's just posturing on the Drake, you can see Suning are all stacked up here. Watch what On does to answer. Iwandi flashes in. On's like, fuck this. Immediately onto the backline. SOFM ults across as well. So it's Makuya and Iwandi. Sure, they get a bunch of CC off. But what can the fucking carries do about it? Absolutely fucking nothing. The charm goes through from Angel. And it's like, at the start of this fight, LNG are ahead in gold. I think they're like 3,000 gold up or something. Yeah, they're like 2,000 gold up. LNG theoretically are the ones with an advantage here, but because of the way On plays this fight and the way SOFM plays this fight, they're able to turn it into a win for Suning. And this is where Suning really come into their own, is these like mid to late game skirmishes and fights. They love to play for picks, but also in their 5v5s, they're not doing too shabby. Generally, On has been one of the weaknesses in their fighting, but I actually think more recently he's started to look better. Still a lot to work on, but looking better. And then off the back of that fight, they're going to get Baron, and then there's just a couple of daft picks. Like, they get Baron for themselves. They go in here. Look at this. LNG are completely scattered. You've got someone recalling over here. No, they don't group up and defend. They don't reset together. They all died together, so it's kind of crazy that they get there. And then Tarzan steps too far up and gets caught out by SOFM. And Suning just literally snowball that into a win. So it's like that series of mistakes from LNG of not recognizing the fact that you can't just be separate. In this situation, you have lost this mid in here. There's no need to be there. And then Suning just end the game off of that. So I think there are going to be a lot of moments like that in this series where Suning find a window of opportunity and just blast the game open like that. So, for that reason, I'm going to say that LNG get a game because I think that bot diff is significant enough that that could be a big issue for Suning. I think LNG can snowball through bot for at least one game in the series, but I think this is very heavily Suning favored. So I'll take a second here. Natural Ninja, thank you very much for the sub, mate. And also, Bob's your uncle, thank you very much for the resub. 5 months, dude. Holy shit. Appreciate the support. Appreciate that. All right. So, oh, fuck. What have I done? Cancel that. So, Suning. Move forward. Cool. So, now, next series is FPX versus Rare Atom. This one is... Now we're getting into the territory where it starts to get quite hard to predict what's going to happen. Because FPX, I don't know, man. FPX are in a weird spot where it's very hard to predict what their form is going to look like. And here's the thing. With FPX... Where's FPX? Their most recent series, they looked really good. If I'm not mistaken, it was against BLG. If I'm remembering that correctly. Tian came back in. Yeah, it was versus BLG. And they kind of smurfed this series, right? This was a really, really... it was almost a relaxed series for FPX. And it's kind of hard. Like, here's the thing. Their most recent series were all against not great teams. This will be a rematch of this series as well, which was fucking mental. If you didn't see this series, by the way, RA versus FPX, go back and watch the VODs. It was so sick. That was like maybe my favorite series of the entire split, actually, now I think about it. I think that is probably the best series of the split. Trying to think. There was a couple of other good series between top teams, but I think that one was the most... That was the most, like, surprisingly great series. I didn't anticipate that being as much of a banger as it was. Because that was RA, like, proving themselves. So, anyway, talking about the series at hand, I'm trying not to ramble too much because I'll stick this on YouTube as well. I do think it's going to be a banger, and I do think it'll be kind of similar to that series, but I don't think that the drafts will be the same in that I have a feeling that FPX are just going to play Tian. It looked so good when they brought Tian back in. I don't really know what's going on within FPX right now. I don't think we're going to find out what's going on within FPX right now, but I think that Tian will be back for good now. That felt real good watching him against BLG, and I think that that is going to be the squad that plays playoffs. I don't think Rare Atom can match up to that because I don't think that there's a significant bot diff. I think iBoy and Hung are good, but I think LWX and Crisp are good. And I think LWX and Crisp have looked way better this year than they did last year. If Crisp can have the form that he had early on in the split, he's going to look amazing. And Crisp and Tian, it's not like they don't have synergy, right? With Crisp and Baytron, it felt like it was a little bit disjointed. And Crisp and Bo, like, you know, it's something magical. But Crisp and Tian can work together beautifully as well. We've seen that. They did that in 2019, right? So I think it's going to be...
Munch dropping the knowledge, and I love to see it.
One-sided.
Enjoy your day, mate.
Oh, thank you very much, Passion Plays. Appreciate the sub, mate. Another 5 months resub. God damn. And that means we've hit 80. Holy shit, we've hit 80 subs. Look at that. Fucking hell. Thank you very much, guys. I can't believe there's 4 subs today. We've only just started fucking streaming. Holy shit. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm not very good at staying on track. So if I start rambling or going off in a different direction, please do shout at me in chat and tell me to stop fucking about. So I think this is an FPX win. The question is, how many Rare Atom games can there be? I think it's 1. I'm not convinced enough about the win conditions from Rare Atom. I've been very convinced by LWX, the Split, and Crisp. I think Nuggery will get into playoffs form. I think he'll look amazing. I think Tien looks great. And I think Tien with really solid solo lanes, like Do B is actually having a fucking great split as well. And I think Tien and B as a pairing is really impressive. So I actually think with Tien helping the solo lanes, B roaming down to the bot side, even just LWX and Crisp, if they can get Rel just 2v2ing, I think it's going to be a pretty simple series. So I would say 3-1, because I think Rare Atom, if a early game goes fairly slowly and we get to late game team fighting, I think Rare Atom can do some serious stuff, but I don't think that they'll be able to beat FPX ultimately. This one's more like a less of a matchup thing and more of a quality of player thing, right? I think FPX is just such a stacked roster that inevitably, when it comes around to playoffs, it's going to be good. Hey, Parrick, thank you very much for continuing the gift sub. I don't know why that didn't give a notification, but I appreciate that very much, regardless of notifications. All right, down to the bottom side of the bracket. Here we go. There's a hype train going. What the fuck? That's like the second time recently that that's happened. Suning WE. Oh, God. How do you predict Suning versus WE? I agree with Alex, actually. He wasn't saying it about that series, but it's the only way that can go, really, isn't it? I'll just move these up. Fuck. So, here's the thing. I love Suning. Suning are great. Suning aren't going to be able to beat WE. I think the problem is Suning are really good when it comes to the kind of mid-game and how they play around the map, and I think they're quite an intelligent team later on. And I think their shot calling's decent later on. But my God, are they inactive in the early game. They don't do fucking anything. They just sit for most of the game, generally speaking. They're good at controlling vision. They're good at, like... Look, I can list off good things about Suning, but ultimately, the big negative is that you have Angel in the mid lane who hasn't had the greatest laning phases this split. He's up against Shanks, so I actually think that's going to be a completely neutral matchup. I think it's just going to be like Azir Orianna every game, unless Angel maybe brings out something like the Akali. I was having a look at his OPGG, and he was playing some spicy stuff. He was playing a bit of Kiana, so maybe we get some spicy shit there. That could change the matchup up. But I think the most exciting thing, honestly, is top lane. I want to see fucking Breathe versus Bin. That's going to be banger. So long as we get to see them actually on carries. Like, give me Jax versus Camille and all that kind of shit, you know? That could be an insane matchup up top. But I think that W will probably opt out and just put Breathe on, like, Sion or something. And play for mid-game fights. It is a bit inconsistent for WE. So I do think this is very close. But again, on like just... Suning have left a lot to be desired, especially in the inner game. I think WE will win some early skirmishes and just snowball and just take control. I'm sorry, Suning. I think that is just the way that has to be. I do think that's going to be close, though, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's happening for Suning. Sorry, Suning. I love you very much, but you're out. Okay. Now it gets interesting. Now we're getting into the banger series here. Well, I say that actually. This round is kind of. I'm just gonna slam down here. Let's just do this. I think this is gonna be a 3-1. I think FPX are good enough that they'll take down Rare Atom. I think JDG in the later series in the split looked fucking clean. Holy fuck. Zoom is god. It feels like this team is back. I don't know what has been going on with them this split. JDG looked amazing recently, especially the series against RNG. I was blown away. I'm really aboard the JDG hype train. And Loken looking good as well. Loken being real aggressive. I feel like this is... I feel like JDG are on enough of a roll where I think that they are just comfortably top 4. To the point where it's not really about stylistic matchup. I think that they're just cleaner. I think that macro is just way better. I think also just mechanically. Like Zoom, in my opinion, Zoom is just straight up the best top laner in the league. So Nuguri doesn't really get to be a huge factor in this one. I think FPX probably just stick Nuguri on Gnar like they have consistently this split. And I think Zoom will just top gap that. JDG will play for counter pick top if they can. And also things like LeBlanc are coming back into the meta. Guess who's real fucking good at LeBlanc? Yagao is. Like, Azir is in the meta. He's really good at Azir. LeBlanc is like... I mean, saying LeBlanc is coming back into the meta is probably pushing it, but she's kind of a fringe pick and a solo queue pick right now, so I can easily see it being a thing. Will we ever see Xie and Mystic? That's another good point, is Mystic might be playing. I think Loken is actually working pretty well with the team right now, but maybe Mystic could be an upgrade. It's really, really difficult to say with any level of certainty. First off, if JDG will even play Mystic or Xie, I think that they'll probably play Mystic and not Xie. But even then, it's really hard. Without seeing scrims or whatever, it's really hard to say what kind of form they're going to look like with Mystic in the roster. But Mystic's a very good AD carry, so I would anticipate that that would be a good look for them. So yeah, ultimately though, I think that is just going to be a bit of a top diff, which is crazy to say versus Nuguri, right? But I think Zoom is just absolutely insane right now. And I think that JDG will just play through topside and just crush. Top esports WE, I'm just going to keep the same score here. Whoops, I didn't duplicate that. I just moved it. I'll keep this up here. So they moved to there. I think this is going to be top esports 3-1. I think WE can take a game. In fact, actually, no, I don't. I take that back. I think it's going to be 3-0. Sorry, WE. Sorry, guys. I think that top esports are going to... Actually, do I trust top esports to be serious enough to finish a series 3-0? Yeah, I do, actually. Yeah, I do. I think in this matchup, Karsa, I think, is going to be able to play super intelligently through his lanes. I think 369 is going to outperform Breathe. Obviously, Knight is like head and shoulders above Shanks. And I think that difference in the mid lane is going to snowball outwards towards the top side. They can just consistently dive onto Breathe, so he doesn't really get to play the game. I think Beishang is going to be suffocated out of this game because he's not going to have solo lanes to play around, because they can win the mid lane and then expand that lead through the top lane. And then even just bot, just straight 2v2. It's fucking Jackie Love and Draw. Like, they're going to massacre them. Like, Jomung and Missing are inconsistent. When they're good, they're great. And then sometimes they're really not, right? If there is a team that's going to punish you when you're not, it's Jackie Love and Draw. They are going to absolutely massacre that bot lane. I can just feel it. I think this is going to be just across the board really, really difficult for WE. I think they're going to get smacked. Sorry, WE. I love you, but it is what it is. Top esports, move forward. All right. So, we have a really, really interesting set of semifinals, right? Well, not semifinals. This is just round 4. I did the voiceover for the playoff format video, and the script said semifinals here. And then they put that script over a video that has round 4 here and semifinals here. I'm just like, now the voiceover is completely wrong. Guys, neither of them are semifinals. This is a double elim bracket. It doesn't have semifinals. Why are we calling any of them semifinals? But if we're going to call them semifinals, at least let's be consistent so that the voiceover makes fucking sense, right? God damn it. Whatever. Anyway. So, RNG versus JDG. I don't know if you guys saw this. What happened to Teachma? Teachma, he's still on the team, but he's not going to be playing. He won't be playing. Teachma's, I don't know. He's an interesting mid laner, right? He's not the kind of guy that's going to come in and suddenly start. Like, if one of the big reasons that you're losing the series is mid diff, Teachma is not your solution. He doesn't win lane. So it would be a very dramatic shift in styles for WE if they played with Teachma. So don't anticipate that. I think he's still on the roster as a sub, maybe, but I don't think he's. It's not gonna happen. It's that simple. It's not gonna happen. Also, I don't think Shanks is like a huge issue for WE. I think he just still needs time to grow. Yeah, here's that one. Hey Ellie, how you doing? Also, I saw Amber in chat earlier. How you doing, Amber? All right. So, what do we think here? This is not the score. I'm just putting a text box here. So, if you guys saw earlier on in the split, JDG and RNG played, and JDG smacked him. Holy crap! It was brutal, actually. I think stylistically. I was talking to Lyric, and Lyric's kind of persuaded me on this one. I think stylistically, there's nothing RNG can do about this matchup. Like, both teams play through the top lane. Zoom is better than Xiaohu. Zoom is going to smack Xiaohu every single time. And you've got junglers that are more than happy to get up there and get involved. You've got mid laners that are more than happy to get up there and get involved. Like, Yagao will be able to just match Cryan, and the same thing for Kanavi. Matching away. So I honestly think, and like when you look to the bot side for RNG, Galo and Ming are not super aggressive 2v2, so that's just going to be kind of a handshake lane in my mind. I don't know. I think this is, I don't even think this is going to be 3-2. I think this is going to be like 3-1. I think this will be actually fairly one-sided towards JDG. I do think RNG will bring out some like counter pick or something and do something magical, but I think JDG wins this. And I'm really excited for that because, god damn it, it feels like JDG are back. I said it in the previous one. It really does feel like JDG are fucking firing on all cylinders again. RNG. So RNG into lower bracket. EDG top esports. Here we go. Do you think if Tez bot lane tried to skill check G2 bot, G2 could punish them? There's too much context required to answer that straight up. Because it depends on the matchup, right? Depends on the situation. Who knows? Like, generally speaking, Joel and Jackie don't necessarily just go into V2 for the banter. Like, they'll find an advantage and punish that advantage. Or sometimes they do just go in for the banter, I think. But if they draft, like, Alistair Tristana, yeah, I think there's plenty of opportunity to get a kill down in the bot side. But at the same time, if G2 drafts Alistair Tristana, I think that can go both ways, you know? I think that's very much going to be a matter of how does that draft go. But if Reckless is drafting things like Seraphine and things like Senna, I think that there's going to be a really, really difficult deficit to come back from in that bottom side of the map if it's Top Esports G2. That's not a series that's happening in this playoffs, so I'm going to stop talking about that. I'm going to talk about, instead, EDG versus Top Esports. Similarly, I do think that there's going to be a gap at the bot lane there. Even though Viper is insane, I actually think Viper is the best AD carry in the league right now. I think in the 2v2, Jackie and Joel way above Viper and Mako. Like, Viper and Mako are not the bot lane that dominates the 2v2, you know. That's not really the style for EDG. This is one of the... Here's the thing, right? This is one of the matchups where it starts to get a little bit like... First off, we need to have seen what Top Esports looked like in the previous series against WE, right? We won't have seen EDG in a while, and they will have scouting information. They'll have watched this best of 5. So there is an extent to which you'd expect EDG to come in with some advantage here, strategically at least. But when I look at quality of player across the board, 369 versus Flandre, I'm going to give that to 369. Karsa versus JJ, I'm going to give that to Karsa. Knight versus Scout, going to give that to Knight. Even though Knight's not been performing super well, I still think in the laning phase, Knight's going to find advantages there. And then when you look at the bot lane, we already talked about that as a 2v2. So I think EDG are one of these squads where the sum is greater than the whole, right? Where when they are in these 5v5s, when they're snowballing advantages in the skirmishes, they can look amazing. And they can find incredible moments. Like if they can play towards Herald and get Viper into one of those Herald fights and get some kills onto Viper, that's their comfort zone, when they snowball out of control there. But the problem is, Top Esports skirmishing in the early game is also their comfort zone. They're more than happy to take it to you there. And if they get a counter pick for 369, like playing towards Heralds is going to be very difficult when 369 is on something like a Jace and has a favorable matchup. So I just think across the board, it's going to be very difficult for EDG to find early game advantages over Top Esports. And that has been the bread and butter of how EDG win games, is getting early advantages and snowballing. They're super clean. They're super clean. When they find advantages, they don't lose. Like, they just push that forwards. But I don't think that they'll be able to find those EDC advantages against Top Esports. I will say, for EDG, when it gets to the later stages of the game, like let's say we're in a neutral game, that's when it starts to get kind of interesting between these two teams, because most of the wins from Top Esports and most of the wins from EDG have been fairly fast wins. They've been like snowball wins. So on a neutral playing field in the later stages of the game, I'm not 100% sure who I favor, because Top Esports don't usually draft towards team fighting, right? So that could be an avenue for EDG as well. But ultimately, I am giving the edge to Top Esports. So with that said, is it this one? I'm going to say, I think 3-1. I think Top Esports will win that one relatively comfortably. But I do think there'll be at least one game in that series where EDG find an advantage early on. Maybe Jackie Love and Joel overextend bot and get ganked or something like that. And I think then that snowballs out of control and Top Esports don't come back in that game. I don't know why, but I'm digging this tune. So, want to know something really annoying? These boxes on this graphic are not the same size. This white box, I've duplicated. These are all identical. And this one lines up perfectly here. You can see that, where it lines up. This one lines up perfectly. This one, 1 pixel off. This one, 2 pixels off. Come on, guys. Just copy and paste the boxes. Look, you can see that these are slightly more separate than this one. There's no gap there. There's a gap there. SMH. SMH. Alright, anyway. I don't know if it was obvious. I've worked in graphics production. This kind of shit triggers the crap out of me. So, Top Esports move forwards to JDG. Guess what? We've got the old rematch going on. And RNG went down there. Okay, yeah. So, in what order will these be played? Oh, it says it on it. This one's first. Okay. RNG, EDG. I think we're going to see the same thing that we saw in the regular season. I think RNG win this one. I think RNG, when they can play through topside, when they can play through Xiaohu, look incredibly strong. And I think that they have a stronger topside than EDG do. I think Cryan and Scout, I think Scout on paper is better than Cryan is, but I don't think it's like a monumental difference. I think they're both pretty much role players. In terms of the jungle as well, Wei, I think, is just exceptional. I do think JJ is a good jungler, but I think Wei is maybe the best jungler in the league right now. I know Dagda is like massively high on Wei at the minute. That was a weird sentence. Not Whey protein, Wei the player. And then on the top side, I think Xiaohu versus Flantre. Flantre's not actually had that good of a split. Xiaohu's on fire, especially when the team's playing through him. I think RNG just win through top side here. And again, both bot lanes, not the kind of bot lanes that are going to individually dominate a 2v2 and just get out of control. So I don't think the bot lane will be a huge factor. Both are teams that like to snowball. And I think it'll be RNG getting the advantage early. So it is what it is. I'm sorry, EDG, but I think that you only win 2 games in the whole of playoffs. I know it's sad. After such a great split, after getting 2nd seed, I think they will fall out with only 2 game wins. God damn, that is brutal. Brutal. But it is what it is. Okay. JDG Top Esports. Man, it's going to be a banger, isn't it? It's going to be a fucking banger, lads. Holy shit. Nelson had them winning, really. Interesting. Do you have a link to that video? I'd quite like to watch that. JDG Top Esports is always a banger. I kind of don't really want to try and delve into this matchup too much because it's pretty much the same matchup as it was last year. The difference being draw exists, right? The bot lane is so much stronger for Top Esports this time around. I do think that difference will give the edge. Mystic coming in could throw a spanner in the works. This is one of the series where I really think that these 2 series matter a ton. Like, we need to watch these VODs before you can give a really accurate prediction on this series, but we're just doing this as you know, content entertainment here. I'm saying 3-2 Top Esports. And hang on, let's just fucking grab one of these. I'm saying 3-2 Top Esports because I think that go away. I think Top Esports, I mean, I've already talked about the positives. I've already talked about why I think they're a really good team. It's all about the mojo. It's all about the mojo. I don't know what else to tell you. They're going to win bot. They're going to win. Actually, top is the big question mark, right? Zoom versus 369. It's a hype matchup. I definitely give that matchup in favor of Zoom. But I think Karsu is much better at playing through his lanes than Kanavi is. Kanavi's much more selfish and focuses on getting that farm up a lot more usually. The meta very much in favor of junglers that want to go through the lanes a little bit. So I think Karsu's going to have the advantage there. Should be able to shore up. If 369 is a weakness versus Zoom, I think Karsu will be able to shore that weakness up. And I think Knight should be able to find advantages in the mid lane. So, and again, turns into skirmishes, turns into big fights. I do think that the advantages he can pull out on either side are fairly small, right? Because I don't think Loken and Lumao are going to like run it in the bot lane. I think that bot difference is going to be the biggest difference in terms of laners across the board, though. Because I think Yagao will be fine in just kind of trying to neutralize mid lane. So Top Esports move forward, which means JDG go to the lower bracket. How impressed will you guys be when all of this is like 100% accurate? Turns out I'm from the future. Here we go. So, now I don't know if you guys know this, but these teams have played before in this bracket. It was up here. It was 3-1 to JDG. I don't know what to tell you guys. I think JDG wins it again. I think maybe RNG gives a better performance here and like show up a bit better. What is going on there? Why is that? Why are they not in line? What? Is there a space after the 2? There is. Okay. RNG, after such a great split, I think are just going to lose to Zoom. Zoom is literally going to body check them here, knock them into the lower bracket, and then he's going to body check them here and knock them out of playoffs. Zoom is individually going to fuck RNG's chances of making it to MSI. Zoom by himself is going to be the thing that stops RNG making it to MSI. It's going to be heartbreaking. But honestly, unless something changes, I don't see RNG beating JDG. I don't see that happening. With the way that series went in the regular split, it's going to be too brutal. And then, Top Esports versus JDG. It's a banger. It's another 3-2. It is going to be just like last year, where we have Top Esports JDG in the final. I think Top Esports wins again. But, you know. I'm just going to revel in that final, honestly. I don't know who wins that one, really. This JDG Top Esports matchup, if... One really, really important thing here. If JDG wins the semi-final here, and Top Esports go to lower bracket, there's a very real world where it's RNG in the final instead of Top Esports. Because I think Top Esports and RNG is a much more difficult matchup for Top Esports than most of the other matchups. So, yeah. That's where I sit. That's where I sit. And I think Lyric is on a very similar wavelength with some of the strengths of some of the teams to me. I never put... I just moved. Wait, what? What have I done? I never had RNG in there. But look at these matchups, man. Look at these matchups. Semi-finals to the final. Holy fuck. It's going to be so good. Out of these 3 teams, I don't even care who goes to MSI. I think all of them will look great at MSI. I don't think JDG will be the best representative. I think they'd be the worst MSI performer. RNG or Top Esports, I think both would look insane at MSI. I think it would be a great story if RNG made it to MSI. But I think... you gotta believe in the mojo. You gotta believe in the vibes. It's Top Esports, baby. Making it to MSI. Let's go. RIP EDG, by the way. RIP EDG. Alright. Export that bad boy. Should we smack that on Twitter? Trigger some RNG fans. Trigger some